Today, in our webinar, we are going to be looking at recruiting through marketing, how to promote, how to attract job seekers. Now, we are in a competitive labor market, and for this, you must stand out to recruit top talent, including advertising through traditional and digital job boards. Now, in this session today, you are going to be learning how to create an ad and where to post these ads that will help you to stand out and to put you ahead of your competitors. So the objectives for today is to learn how to create a job ad for both traditional and digital job ad, and where to post these, and how to utilize social media for your recruitment purposes. Now, today, our presenter is going to be Tracy Arno. Tracy is the CEO of Essence Recruitment and has been hiring and training for over 25 years and has over 17 years in the recruitment industry. Now, since 2011, she has built a successful recruitment firm based on her values of transparency, authenticity, respect, accountability, and community. Now, after 12 years in business, Tracy has worked with hundreds of small to medium-sized businesses and not-for-profit organizations. Tracy does understand that hiring a recruitment firm is not always a suitable option, but that recruiting and hiring top talent is not their passion or expertise. Now, she's here to utilize her expertise in recruitment and training. And for this, Tracy has started a new training course to help organizations like yourself to improve your internal recruitment process. So today, we are going to be having Tracy joining us as she talks about recruitment through marketing, how to promote and to attract job seekers. Do also remember, if you have any questions, please post these in the chat, and definitely she will be attending to these. Now, Tracy, it's over to you.
Okay, let's get this. Okay, do we see it? We're okay? Tamika, that's good. Can you see? Did it show up?
Sorry, I was muted. Click share screen first.
Okay, I thought I did here. Let's see.
Share screen.
Did this one work now?
Awesome. Awesome.
You can see that. You can see it. Just 1 second here. I just want to make sure my dual screens here, and I'm not the most technical person when I get to like 2 screens. So
no, we can see. I can see your presentation, Tracy.
Okay, perfect. Okay, well, hello everyone. Thank you for taking the time on the Tuesday after a long weekend to listen to me today. I know that everyone has a really busy schedule, so I appreciate it. As mentioned, please ask questions in the middle or the end of whatever is best for you. I'll try to pause. I tend to talk very, very fast, so I'll pause just to ensure that if anybody has any questions, I'd love to chat with them in the middle of this presentation. It's about 30 minutes long, based on how many questions are asked. So there will be plenty of the time at the end also. Tamika, you'll let me know, right, if someone is asking a question. Okay, perfect. Fantastic. Okay, so just a little bit to start with. As Tamika mentioned, I opened Essence Recruitment in 2011 to focus on working with small to medium-sized businesses and not-for-profits. We have our head office here in Saskatoon that represents Saskatchewan. And then 3 months before COVID, I opened up a satellite office in Calgary. And to just expand to, actually, the thought was at that time is to recruit people back into Saskatchewan. But it is actually working both ways. And then in the beginning of January, I decided to, because we work small to medium-sized businesses and not-for-profits, they do recruitment on the side. So if they don't need to utilize a firm, because we generally focus on leadership roles and helping build out their leadership teams, and they have to do internal recruitment, everybody's struggling. Like, they're just talking about they're not getting the right candidates. They don't have the right time. They don't really know what they're doing. They don't love what they're doing. Like, there's only some crazy few of us that actually love to recruit. So we created this program in the beginning of January. And then today, what I wanted to bring forward was just a little piece of it. And why I chose about the marketing piece of it is that because that's where everybody goes to. Like, we really do need to expose, when you're an internal recruiter, you do need to expose your job opportunity, and it is natural for people to go to job boards. But there's a couple of things that are happening that we're hearing. It's they're not getting any applicants, or, they haven't, it's unlike any time before where they are not getting very many applicants, or you're getting so many applicants that it's overwhelming. Like, people are talking about 50 or 100 applicants, but they're not the right candidates. So what's happening is that people are sifting through these resumes, and they're just like, this is so overwhelming. This is such a waste of my time. And then you could be actually missing good candidates that are applying. So that's why we decided to take this little piece today and chat with you about it. And it's just a little part of our program that we do have. Again, if you have questions, because it is just a small snippet, and you're feeling that you don't have enough information today, please ask questions and I'll explain more clearly for sure, and get into more detail. So today we're going to just kind of start from what the market trends, the labor trends are, chat about what talent acquisition or attraction is, and what does that mean to you. And then, of course, to me, everything goes back to the employer brand and being an employer of choice. So I want to chat with you about the importance of this. And then again, we're going to go into the job posting. So this is where we're going to go to traditional job boards. We're going to chat a little bit about that. Then we're going to chat a little bit about digital ads. And then, of course, time for questions. So labor market trends. So I just really want to set the stage of what's happening, because everybody's like, where are the people? And so we're totally in new territory since COVID. I say that we're all kind of in the same boat together. So if you think about maybe some circumstances that has happened in the past, where you're like, okay, you know what, we're in a recession, or, you know what, we're in a boom, but you know what, this is what we did last time, and this is how we're going to get out of it. And don't worry, if we just continue down the path and do what we've always been doing, it's going to come around. And really, in reality, that is just not the case anymore. It will never be the same again. And that's what we have to embrace. In fact, yesterday, I just read an article, and it's just really talking about the forever labor shortage. And the reason being is because of two things. There's global competition and the baby boomers retiring with no one to replace them. If we just simply go by that and think about your own families, your grandma, your grandpa, and the families that they had to the families that you have, our numbers just can't be replaced. So it's predicting by 2100, as much as 2/3 of the country will be out of the workforce. So we're dependent on 1/3. And then I get the question, well, you know, AI is coming, so they're going to replace our jobs. But you also have to think about, it's humans that actually do create the AI. So even though that there may be some automation coming on, and we chat about the robots and what does that take, there's still the human element that will always need to be there. And right now, the global talent shortage reaches a 16-year high. The other thing I want to note about is that we hear about this looming recession that is coming, but even in articles and like data that is telling us is that because we're in such a labor shortage right now, that there could be a recession, we could have massive layoffs, we still don't have enough people. So when the US is at 3% unemployment rate, that is a huge, huge concern for Canada, because they want our people. And then we think about like worldwide, like we used to be able to attract truck drivers from the UK, but now India is in competition for UK drivers. So, I mean, like it is all this is a worldwide labor shortage, and we're now on a platform that we are competing with the world. And especially now that we've been proven that we can remote work from anywhere, all those kind of things that can happen now. So all I'm saying is that we have to embrace, it's never going to be the same. And if whatever we've done before, we need to embrace the change. So I say that recruitment is, there's no golden nugget. Like there's just not one way of doing something that you're just going to immediately attract the talent that you would like to have. And maybe at one time you have felt that you would just like in May, you would put out the posting for just maybe possibly like for summer work, you would get enough people and then it would be merry and you continue to do your schedule year over year. And it's just really not, as mentioned, it's just not, it will not be that way moving forward. So I think recruitment is the long game. I always think about it's not going to be instant. And we need to think about what we're doing now is going to help us recruit top talent into the future. So the thought is about attracting top talent is to build a talent pipeline of high potential individuals who can be hired when needed is one thing that we can do. And there's always identifying talent for now and into the future and always have that conversation. So we're always continually recruiting. So talent attraction is always about never stop recruiting. We may not need people now, but we will need them into the future. So even going back into where we're talking about marketing and doing job postings and we're doing social media, we're always bringing awareness of your organization and what you can bring to how you can be an employer of choice. So people, when it is time, will want to work with you. Recruitment takes time and money. So just in perspective, it depends on the role. And it depends on the level of the role, and it depends actually on industry also. But however, there's many stats that just keeps on confirming this over and over again, that it generally takes about 42 days on average for a hire. Of course, if it's, if it is contract work or if it's maybe frontline, not as many days. But then when we think about as we're building different types of skill sets and required talent, it will take more time. And the cost is the average, depending, is around $4,000 to $4,700. So where we're chatting about that is around some of those hidden costs. So thinking about how much time is it taking you to do the recruitment process, what is missing, and where are the gaps within the organization with that role being vacant. And then, of course, the productivity of the team and the culture around it. And then, of course, the direct costs. So it's a little bit of a hard to measure, but generally this is where we're seeing that the stats and the analytics are coming out between 4,000 and 4,700. So there's no golden nugget, not doing the same thing for every role is not necessarily going to be the right thing. So, but it's about thinking about what do you need to do for the role that is in hand, and that will change on how much time it will take, the cost, and actually where you are, your methods of recruitment. Do we have any questions at Tamika? We're good?
No, not so far.
Okay. So to us, and from our company and our philosophy and the thought of me, like I've been in the industry for over 20 years, I would say that it always comes back to being an employer, your employer brand, and being an employer of choice. People have choices, and they will make a decision based on their perception of your employer brand and being an employee of choice. So think about it. I'm sure that maybe some of you, when people are applying to your organization, you're Googling them, you're seeing who they are. You want to see what's happening on Facebook. You want to see what they're chatting about in LinkedIn. You want to see if anything pops up on Google. Well, they're doing the same thing to you. So when it comes down to it, when they have choices, they're going to go to the ones where they feel more comfortable with and then can meet the needs of what they're looking for. Then, so with us, the entire process will start with your company brand. And a positive employer brand communicates its organization is a good employer and has a great place to work. So employee brand affects the recruitment and new employees, retention and engagement of current employees, and the overall perception of the organization in the market. So just so you're aware, and I'm being on the other side of being a candidate and someone or an applicant, someone who is applying for a job, this is what they're doing. So when they Google how to look for a job, it's telling them to pick a job board that works for you. So depending on what their skill set is, what their education is, what role they're applying for, will change what job board that they're looking at. They also are told to look like everything is about search. So picking key search words, so the title of the company or the title of what they're looking for. So an operations manager, groundskeeper, whatever it might be, and also to research the company. So it is telling them the 3 top things that you need to do when you're looking for a job. So just some recent stats. Nearly half of the recent hires, 41%, found their job through an online job board. Nearly 2/3 of job seekers, 61%, found an automated job alert helpful. So if some of the job boards have the automation, so like LinkedIn, Indeed, they do have a click to you that will put it in front of you. 1/4 of the recent hires landed their current job through networking. 79% of applicants use social media in their job search. And 73% of the millennials, 18 to 34 group, found their position through social media platforms. So basically the same. If you're young or old, doesn't really matter. You're generally using digital. So saying that, when you're, mentioning about how they're finding jobs, they really are researching you, right? So it is really, it's to have when you have a strong employer brand, it keeps you ahead of the competition. So when you are a status of an employer of choice, it puts you in the driver's seat for recruiting, hiring, and retaining the best talent. So when the job market is competitive, such it is right now, it is increasingly harder to get the best and the brightest. Having a potential employee seek you out is very fortunate to be in when you're known to be a good place to work. So just a little bit of a stat, when making a decision to where to apply for a job, 84% of job seekers say the reputation of the company of the employer is very important. So how are they finding you? How are they knowing really where, like if you are an employer of choice, like I said, they're researching you. And so just Glassdoor. So Glassdoor was originally created for employees to find out on how well a company employees or how good it is to work there. They've expanded now on some of their services, but this is literally their slogan. Like they want you to research the organization and look at their reviews. And so what Glassdoor does when an organization works for them, they ask all the employees that work for that organization, present and past, to fill out a review. So then that way, when someone is applying, they can research the company and they can see what the reviews are from the actual employees that work there. Secondly, on social media, Google and Facebook reviews. So social media is it gives you it is highly exposed. Unfortunately, you get the good and the bad. Like you really can't control that piece of it. But if you can get people that actually say positive things about you to give you reviews, it really does help. Because sometimes you have to take it because there's 2 sides to each story for every review, absolutely. But when you're looking at the total rating, you want to make sure that, even though you get the good and the bad and the ugly, that the good are really standing out and that your overall reviews. Same thing as Uber, right? Like when we get into a vehicle, we want to look at the reviews to make sure that we have a good driver. We're doing the same things as actually happening of hiring people or people applying to jobs. Google reviews and Facebook reviews will increase your profile. And if they see that you have a lot of positive reviews, they'll more than likely want to work for you. It will also increase your search engine, improve your search rankings on your website or on Google. So reviews, because that's a Google thing and that's a back end thing that is beyond me, but I do know doing the research that absolutely, if you have positive reviews, you will be easier seen on the web. And did you know that reviews influence 90% of potential customers better than a sales pitch? So if we think about that in a sales perspective versus someone applying for the role, it's very similar. They're really looking at the reviews. And just maybe think about in your own world, when you're considering on making a purchase or attending an event or going to a location or somebody that you may work with. So to a vendor, are you not looking on actually what their reviews say about them? So if you're doing that, applicants are doing that to see if they want to apply and work for you. I would encourage you to research your own company and look in the lens of a prospective applicant and see what they're saying about your company. First of all, can they find your company? And what do the reviews say? And so there's Facebook reviews, there's Google reviews. If there's some job boards, so for instance, like Indeed has reviews, go to Glassdoor, see what they're saying. And just so that's way in the perspective of a candidate, or sorry, an applicant lingo here, sorry, I apologize, is what are they seeing? And would you, as an applicant, want to apply to your company? In my view, marketing and HR are like best friends, as they used to be seen as very different departments. Now I would say that they should be best friends, because your marketing team is going to help enhance your company profile that will in turn have candidates apply to your organization. Okay. So with a labor shortage, being an employer of choice recognizes the values and the values of the employee and addresses their wants and needs. And yes, being paid fairly is on the top of the list. However, there is more that they're looking for. So right now, these are the items that actually employees are looking for and will more than likely ask you through the interview process. But if you can promote it on your job ads, or promote it through social media, and or promote it through any type of branding that you have, this would be amazing about being an employer of choice. Work-life balance, they want trust and respect, transparency and honesty, clear goals and expectations, meaningful work. Onboarding is actually a big thing. I actually this morning was reading about some of the tough questions that candidates actually do ask through the interview process. And one of them is, what is your onboarding process? Do you have an exit interview process, and what do you do with that information? And do you have mentorship? Accountability and responsibility, and yes, very quickly. And they just want meaningful work. So they want to know when they're going to work every day that they actually have something meaningful to do and it has impact in the organization. They want to be recognized and they want to have praise. And interesting enough, part of the perks is professional development, because again, they want to grow. So they want the accountability and responsibility, but they want the professional development. And these are the items besides the compensation package. So fair pay, benefits, pension plan, those types of things. But in their work day, this is what they're looking for. Okay. So taking all that in, and now we need to market it. So we need to market, you have a job opportunity, and you need to market your job opportunity. And generally we gravitate to either exposing it through some marketing effort, through either a job board or social media or something similar that way. So that's why, again, I chose to chat about that today. When we talk about job boards are not one size fits all. So when you are starting to do a recruitment process, you need to think about Who is your target audience? And you need to meet them where they're at. So for example, if I'm looking at an executive role, I would not be posting it on Indeed. I would be more than likely posting it on a job board, sorry, that is more directed through professionals. So such as LinkedIn Jobs. Another way that maybe is that you would need to expose it on a national level. So then what are some of the national level job boards that you would be able to expose it that would give you bigger reach? However, if you're looking for a summer student, would you look at maybe some of the university or the University of Sask Polytechnic job boards? Would you maybe go to an Indeed that seems to attract more of the general public, right? Like where would you can think of different ways of where you would where job boards are. Maybe there's an association that targets the skill set that you're looking for, those types of things. But think about that first. So just don't randomly put it on a job board. Think about what that job board is, what an audience that they attract, and make sure it makes sense for you. So just so you're aware, when somebody, how much time you have for attention when someone is scrolling is you get 3 seconds on social media, you get 3 to 6 seconds on a job board, and you get 8 seconds on an email. That's it. Blink of an eye. That's all you get. So if you can't attract them immediate, you're more than likely not going to be able to attract, either they're going to miss your opportunity. So when we're doing a job boards are not job descriptions. And I think where some people are making the mistake is that they're thinking that it's the same. And it's not. A job description is an internal document that actually has the explanation about what the role is, what the duties are, and what the requirements are for that role. A job ad is something that you want to market to get their attention very, very quickly. So again, on a job board, you have 3 to 6 seconds. So if you have a very, very lengthy job description as your job ad, you're going to lose their attention. So even the debate is, we're doing the do's of don'ts. And in 2022, when we were doing this research, 300 to 700 word range is the max. This job ad that I'm showing here has 447 words. And I have been already, it's been argued that it's too long, and it could be. So that's why we want to think about it very, very quick. They want to hone in, they want to see exactly what it is, and they want to see, and they're going to apply or they're not. The second thing is the job title must be clear, direct, and specific. So please remember that when they're doing a search, they're doing specific titles. So it is always fun, and it shows like innovation and youthfulness that we have all these fun titles of our people, but they can't find you if they're searching you. So it needs to be very actually specific and clear exactly to what the role is. So the few things that you're doing here is actually really promoting the why, the who, and the what. So why is the opportunity open? Who is the company? And what is the role? So really about why would I want to apply for this role? And who is this company that I'm actually trying to work for? And what will I be doing? So, and if you can use graphics, because it's very very eye-catching. So even in job boards, traditional job boards, some, not all, have the ability to you can make your own page. So then it's more attractive, or B, at least have your logo, because logo recognition is actually very important. They may not remember your company name, but they do remember logos. Describe the application process and a call to action and make it simple. So don't ask them to click through and click through and click through. So my daughter, who is 18 years old right now, is back from school, and she is actually applying for hostess jobs. 3 out of 5 companies she went to asked her to fill out very, very lengthy job application. And she's like, Mom, it was just my resume. Like, I don't even get what they're doing. And she's like, what am I going to do with it? They're not even like, what are they going to do with it? Like, so she didn't actually finish them. because she's like, why can't they just take my resume? I'm not guaranteed a job. Why would I take all that time? So and it wasn't simple. It was like our traditional ways of filling out applications. And the debate right now, and if I could have this discussion with you, we would talk about the total rewards and do we or do we not post the compensation? And this has been ebb and flows in the time that I have been in recruitment. Do we or do we not? And if we do we give them the actual amount or do we give them a range, or what do we do? What is the right thing to do? You will get more applicants if you're transparent. And it also leaves the ability to assume out the door. So especially like, for instance, like in not-for-profits, we post the role. If we don't post the salary, they're assuming that they're not going to be paid at market. The rebuttal I get back is, well, what happens if I give them this range and they're all going to ask for the top of the range? But if they don't have all the experience or qualifications that you're asking for, then they shouldn't be warranted the top of the range. And that's just a conversation that you have to have with them. But they would prefer the transparency about what is the actual pay that they can actually get versus I wonder what it is and why isn't anybody telling me? So because they're asking for transparency, it is better for you to actually talk about the total rewards. And what I would also chat about is what else do you bring? Like, what else do you get? What are the perks? Like, why would you want to work there? Like, why would someone want to work for your organization? And what do you have to offer? If you can promote that within the job ad, that will help enhance the number of applicants and will also take away any of the applicants that don't meet, that their expectations are higher than what you can actually pay. So what not to put in a job ad? So the first thing is the trendy job titles that don't make sense or relate. Titles aren't necessarily important to all employees, but they can be when candidates rely on them for their job search. So SEO and Google search job postings with standard job titles and industry-specific keywords perform significantly better than in search results. So if you have, like, even in my sector, like the director of people fun, like, and we've seen these, right? Like, because they're trying to attract to be a fun employer, or like even, a people leadership or whatever it might be. Like, it's hard to search because you're making up a title that isn't known to many people. So it's hard to search it. Cliche phrases. Another culprit in the modern job postings is overuse of corporate buzzwords and cliches. In my experience, these terms are often used to hide less desirable duties in the roles. So just to be careful about, what you're using, and just be clear and transparent. Being simple and straightforward will be much more helpful than using like kind of cliche phrases or kind of lingo within the organization that they don't understand. And buzzwords are not fooling the savviest of the applicants. They're just like, why are they using these buzzwords? Like, just tell me how it is, and this is the job, and this is what I'll be doing. They are much more appreciative of that than the buzzwords. I think sometimes what people think is when they're putting in these job postings, all these buzzwords that sound really high level and professional, sound great and very professional, but really it's not attracting the talent that you're looking for. Company specific jargon and lingo, like I was doing it actually today, so I'm a culprit. When is a candidate or is it an applicant? We don't know your lingo, we don't know your acronyms. So while you may be hiring a level 2 customer service clerk, nobody understands what level 2 actually is. So I think how you would review that or actually communicate it is it's a customer service clerk, and you would just kind of chat about the responsibilities to understand what that would be. Negative phrases, it's interesting. Like some people, like sometimes certain criteria are mandatory for success of the role. So sometimes, because if you're in like where we're getting some challenges with, if it's a very like demanding, time sensitive type of role, we try to find ways around that, but to put a softer approach around that would be better. So if you enjoy working in a fast-paced, tight timeline, deadline type of environment, something like that, that would actually, you're talking to the candidate that actually enjoys that. But then other things like you must have 3 years of experience, or if you meet these requirements, you can apply. Like you're really turning down most of the applicants that are probably qualified for the role, but it's just sounding very negative that they're just actually not qualified for your thoughts. Qualified for your role. Aggressive words, dominant words like assertive, just really watching words about like being kind of, you're just, I guess what I'm saying here is like, we don't want you to want people to self-disqualify because of the language within the job posting. And sometimes job postings are becoming very strong in wording and not inviteful, or, you know, wanting to have that kind of openness. So think about some soft words around like being inviting and wanting to have a conversation with someone instead of closing them off with a must or must have or do not, or like dominant or assertive, like those kind of words that are kind of in there that may sound you to be a very aggressive employer. Writing in the third person. So interesting enough, it is a thing when you have a job board, you want them to feel like they're already part of the team. So instead of the incumbent will, or this person will, it's like you will be doing this as part of a team. Your responsibility will be this. The outcome of your role will be this. So they're already envisioning working for you. So you're inviting them in and having that here, come work with us, and this is what you'll be doing, and they can actually see it. A great employer brand successfully gets the candidates thinking about what's it going to be like once I get hired. So then, of course, some just other things, discriminatory language and unnecessary criteria. So we talk about a lot of this in the training program, is that, and I'm sure just if you take a look at maybe some of your past job ads or maybe even your job descriptions, there's criteria that you're asking for that you really don't need. And there is actually starting to be more of a conversation around why are years of experience actually important? Isn't it actually what they can bring to the table and the experience itself? Because you can have 20 years of experience in one role, whereas someone has had 3 years of experience and has actually experienced more than that person at 20 years of experience. So I think it's more about, and this is someone told me this and I thought this is a great analogy. You can drive a truck or you can operate a truck. And that's what you're looking for. So if we start putting unnecessary criteria, they are disqualifying themselves. So when you look at the criteria of someone, when you're looking for them to apply, think about what is the hard stop? What would I absolutely need for them to have for me to say that they're disqualified or qualified? And it may be the actual experience that they bring within a role, but it's not the years of experience. Also, because we do tend to fit for culture, values, and fit, is it more about the person and you can teach them the skills? And if so, why would you say that they had to have those skills in the criteria? Again, they're disqualifying themselves. Great person, great for your organization, but if you're telling them that they have a list of things that they need to have, then they're probably not going to apply. And we've heard that in our own organization. So an example is that we were looking for a VP of engineering, and it was a must for the organization to have so many years of experience, because they thought that if they had that many years of experience, then what would happen is that they would be able to bring all that knowledge of those years of experience. So the person that they actually hired had about 1/3 of the amount of years of experience, but it had very in-depth knowledge and experience of what they actually were looking for. So the first couple of times that we approached him, he's like, no. And he saw the job ad on LinkedIn and he's like, no, I'm not qualified for this role. But it wasn't until we approached him the third time and said, listen, it really isn't about the years of the experience. And he is a great fit for the organization. And that is a personal experience. So now we really push that on our side. Okay. So that's the job ad. So again, where to post, you're asking, just remember, who is your target audience and where are they at? Where would they be? So when we think about that's traditional job boards, now we think about digital ads. And as noted before, we had social media, and we have a big component of the recruitment process. So you may be posting on a job board, you still need to be on social media. You need to be out there and build awareness. So it may be that you're just doing it on your company feed. It might be on your feed and deciding if it's LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, Snapchat, I don't know, like TikTok, YouTube, whatever it might be. You need to decide where that is because but the most exposure that you can give, the best. So just a couple things about digital ads in general. Use the right image size and social media platforms. Keep your brand in mind when you're choosing colors, fonts, and other elements. Don't go outside that because of brand awareness. Keep your graphic design simple. Don't have a lot of commotion. Choose your colors wisely. And I did that twice. And use actual images of your business. People don't engage with stock photos, by the way. And have a call to action. It has to be easy for them to click. So we're going to quickly go into kind of the two major ones that people utilize. They use Facebook and they use LinkedIn. And you can definitely use social media on a free component. You absolutely can. And it will all depend on how much exposure you get on how many people that like your page. So it really is about the numbers game. It also has to be consistent and it has to stay up to date. So if you're posting something on your feed once a month, it's not going to work. What I recommend in a recruitment perspective is that focusing on your humans in your organization and the opportunities are part of your feed. So a lot of companies, if you look at what they're doing, and if you look at your own feed, it has only about what your services are, and you're always attracting the clients. In a recruitment perspective, you're trying to attract people to want to work for you. So I would recommend that exposing your company as an employer of choice be part of your social media strategy. And I encourage you to now look at your social media and see how consistent you are. Are you only trying to attract your clients, or are you actually building awareness of being an employer of choice? And an easy thing to do is actually just interview your own people and pop it up on social media. Two things I can also chat about with Facebook is that, and I always talk about Facebook and Instagram as one, is that you can also input money, right? So even like as in job boards, you can decide to do free, or you can decide to increase your exposure by putting money towards that ad. That's the exact same thing with social media. So just high level here, Facebook is sponsored ads it is really about if you have enough, it works if you have enough people that like your page and you sponsor it and it comes up in their feed more often. And so if you didn't see them the first time with your 3 seconds, hopefully it will come up again. You can do boosted paid ads, which are the paid ads, which can get you beyond the reach of your organization. Of your liked people that like your page, and you can target it to people actually that you want to see the ad. So it all really depends on how much money you want to spend and what your objective is. Then LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a lot more expensive. So just so you're aware, there's LinkedIn that is free, right? Like we can put it on our company page. And it all does depend on what your feed is and how consistent you are on how much your feed will pop up And when a job ad comes up, who will pop up too. It's just similar to Facebook or Instagram, as we all know. But you can also then pay for LinkedIn boosting content, sponsoring messages. They're called dynamic ads and text ads. So that's where we're seeing, if you look at Instagram, you can see something on the side of your page. You can see when you're scrolling through, there's like, you should follow these people, or you should follow this organization. Like, it all depends on what you want to pay for. But boosting and sponsoring messages, just like Facebook, are very similar. So again, it is, if you want, what the best thing about LinkedIn is, though, is that it is a market, again, that you can target. So when we were doing the training program in Calgary, I could target business decision makers in Calgary only, and that ad only went to them, right? So that's what we can do when we want to do a targeted approach. Again, if you don't have a budget, the worst that you can do is nothing. But if you can promote it through social media, you should be. And that's because that's, as stated before, that's where they're going to find your opportunities. So my recommendation is always to have a social media strategy and to utilize a traditional job board, not one or the other, but to do both. And that was way longer than I thought it was going to be. So we'll maybe just stop there.
Thank you so much, Tracy. Good information. Are there any questions that you'd like to pose to Tracy to get an answer? I'm looking at the chat, just waiting while I'm waiting for questions to be posted. One of the things that is quite noteworthy for me is the part that you mentioned about in terms of recruitment and those job posting that can really turn potential job seekers off in terms of asking for the years of experience. Because, speaking from experience as well, you have looked at things and then you're saying, oh, I don't have 5, 6, 7 years of experience that you're asking for. And that can really, really be the deciding factor for someone whether or not they will make an application for the job, because they're looking for that 6 years of experience that has been written there. And it really will turn off good candidates from really applying for the job. Yeah,
Absolutely, for sure.
Any other questions in the chat? Do post your questions. Is there anything that you would like Tracy to respond to? You did a very timely presentation and very thorough in terms of the explanations that what was provided. I'm waiting for anyone who has.
And if they don't and they think of something later, anybody can reach out to me anytime. So I mean, you can find me anywhere, but through LinkedIn or through our website or through, give me a call, email, it doesn't matter. I'll definitely.
Well, it doesn't seem I've made one submission in terms of what I have seen thus far, but definitely a great presentation. So much to know about the job market and the statistics that you have given in terms of the baby boomers are going out, and there is a great challenge in terms of filling that slot for workers. And that is going to be a challenge as well, and that the labor market has become very competitive. So I will definitely encourage you to take a look at your recruitment process, the processes that you have, create a strategy. And as Tracy said, do get your recruitment up to speed and ensure that you have something that you can disseminate through social media. So Tracy, once again, thank you so much for a very informative session.